of year, so many people are getting ill right now. We got to talk about the flu. Dr. Marjorie Dixon is here to walk us through it. And a lot of us are still a little bit confused about what the flu is. People get cold and flu mixed up. What is the flu specifically?
The flu is the short form or the pet name that we have for the influenza virus. So it's actually a viral illness that people have. It's caused by influenza, and influenza is made up of certain antigens, so there are proteins that cause illnesses in our body.
Okay.
And flu is related to the influenza viruses, particularly influenza A and B. And that's what we talk about because it is very prevalent, particularly in Canada, in the fall and winter seasons.
Yeah.
And that's the time that it spreads pretty quickly, and that you can feel really miserable because of those influenza viruses.
Is it a respiratory issue?
It's an upper respiratory tract infection. So when you start, it's interesting because there's an incubation period. So you can be like, I'm not sick today, but I could be incubating it.
Oh.
Yeah, I could be here cooking it for 4 days. So as I go around, and then I say, hey, how are you? Or we go to a Christmas party. Marilyn was talking about Christmas parties.
Yeah.
If we go to a Christmas party, and then we're hugging and kissing people, and then our nose or touch our eye and then shake a hand or kiss a face, that's the way to spread it, because it spreads the virus. I know it's gross. Everybody's like, ooh, but it's really how it spreads.
It's through fluids?
Sitting in an audience at Cityline.
Whatever, we're safe. We're safe here. Is it through fluids?
Droplets.
It's droplets. So it could be is it airborne?
Airborne, being a close talker and little bits of spit. Yeah, get in the right place. Yeah, sneezing.
Okay.
Runny nose. And you talked before about sticking a Kleenex in your sleeve.
That's what my teachers used to do.
Yeah, well, your teacher was kind of I love teachers, but she could be a little just spreading the germ, and that's one of the places. So people who are at risk of spreading the flu, because it's through droplets and through your mucus, what comes from your mucous membrane. So when you wipe your nose or you cough into your hand, we need to relearn how to cough.
It can't be into the
hands. Don't cough into your hand. That's kind of gross.
Yes.
My kids know. Cough into your sleeve.
That's right.
And we need to also learn how to greet one another without touching.
I don't understand what that means even. I hug everyone. So, what do? Like elbows? Sup?
Yeah, because that's one way to prevent the spread of it, because when it's airborne in droplets, it gets on our hands, it gets on doorknobs, remote controls,
mobile phones.
So my germophobic Jamaican mother growing up, I thought was over the top. She was so right about everything. She made us travel with little ethanol wipes that she would wipe off everything. When we were in a hotel or when people came for dinner, she'd be like, it's time for dinner, you can go wash your hands.
Go wash your hands.
So those are ways of preventing the spread of illness that are very useful. And then it's important to also not just to talk about ways to prevent it through habits. And much as we worry about spreading it to other people and they feel kind of miserable when we give them the flu, sometimes people you don't like, you want to give the flu to, but it's important for people, particularly who are at risk of getting way sick from the flu. And that's why we have to be thoughtful about what we do when we have the flu, and then also how can we prevent it? Through vaccination.
Okay, so who needs to get a vaccination, a flu shot?
So everybody should have a flu shot, especially anybody that goes and sits in an audience, or people who are healthcare providers. You see lots of people who work in that kind of setting. Child care workers, particularly, because they see lots of kids. How many women, when I had a kid for the first time, I thought I was a pariah because my kid went to daycare and they got sick. Because you know when kids are sick, right? It runs.
You're doomed.
You're doomed. They touch your face. You have to coddle them as they have the fever.
Yes.
So
I remember I would sleep with my daughter. I'd roll over and she'd cough in my face, like wet.
Yeah, I know.
Like, oh my gosh.
Like
so I'm done.
Full spray.
Full spray.
Full spray is how you transmit it.
Yeah.
So the advantages of the vaccines are made specifically. Remember years ago there was H1N1 when we talk about, you're like, why do we call it flu?
Yeah.
Those flu viruses are actually made up of something, the antigens, the things that make the flu, are the proteins that cause the spread of the illness, and they're made up of hemagglutinin and neuraminases, and that's H and N. But they're different types. So there's H1N1, H3N2, and that's why every year you have to get a new vaccination, because it changes.
What about all this buzz around you getting the flu vaccination, but it's not the strain that's out this year, so it didn't even protect you, and I went and got a needle for no good reason?
Well, so we have to trust the experts who work in public health. and tell us which are the strains of the vaccination that we should be getting. And we embark upon these campaigns. I mean, healthcare workers that work in a hospital have to have the flu vaccination because we are at such risk of spreading it to people who are at risk. And who is at risk? People over the age of 65, women who are pregnant. So in my fertility practice, people are always asking me, I don't want to get the flu vaccination because I'm early pregnant. Well, no, you should have the flu vaccine because you are early pregnant.
Yeah.
People who have chronic illnesses, if they have diabetes, if they have heart disease, children under the age of 5, particularly under the age of 2 are at risk. People whose immune systems are suppressed, because the risk is not just that they get the flu, but they get the flu that exacerbates their illness. And especially if you're immune compromised, whereas we have, well, I assume if you're stressed out, your immune system might be lower, but I assume that you have a good immune system. So it should take you, you know, 4 to 7 days to get over your flu, but someone who's sick, who has another underlying illness, can be hospitalized and can get super infected with a bacterial pneumonia that really threatens their life. So if you care about the people around you at your Christmas parties, and you care about your families, you want to get good presents for Christmas, you make sure they're around and healthy. So you wash your hands, you constantly sneeze into your sleeve, like figure out a shake. Don't touch people. Good to see you.
I'm going to give you a big squeeze during the commercial break, honey.
No, don't lick my face. I'm a germaphobe. I don't like it.
These are really good tips. Go get a flu shot. I haven't gotten mine yet, so are we still friends?
Yeah, but don't touch me.
I won't.